thank you all for coming out this morning, and thanks for arranging beautiful sunshine. I'm Mariana Spiropoulos, President of the Board of Commissioners at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, and with me today is our members of our board. We have our Vice President, Barbara McGowan. We have our Chairman of Finance, Frank Avila. Commissioners Deborah Shore, Commissioner Carrie Steele, Commissioner David Walsh. Did I miss anybody? Okay. It's great to see our friends from Oakland, Dr. Sandra Burry, Mayor. Okay. Larry Deachin, Village Manager. Trustee Tim Desmond, Trustee Bob Streit, Trustee Bob Stalker, Trustee Terry Vorderer, our Executive Director, David St. Pierre, Supervisor Lou Viverito, and from Burbank, we have Mayor Dan Foy. I apologize if I missed anybody. Did I miss anybody? No. Okay.
You missed our attorney.
Oh, we never want to miss our attorneys.
Please don't miss him because he's a funny guy.
And he's a funny guy. Vince Kankar. Our general contractor is FH Paschen, and they are with us today as well. So we're here today to mark the beginning of construction on the Melvina Ditch Reservoir Expansion. This project is a culmination of a public process that's received input from Burbank and Oakland neighbors and stakeholders. But before we talk about the present, I'd like to take a quick look at the past. 1965, the population of Burbank was approximately 21,000, about triple the amount of people from a decade earlier. That same year, the district's Board of Commissioners approved the construction of the Melvina Ditch Retention Reservoir that could hold 54 million gallons of water. This project was innovative at the time. However, almost 50 years have passed and the communities have grown and developed. With this growth and more intense storm events over the years, a couple of things have happened. From April 17th through the 18th of 2013, widespread flooding was reported. Basements and streets were submerged, but Mother Nature wasn't done with Burbank and Oak Lawn just yet. The following year, it happened again, twice, on July 12th and August 22nd, 2014. Devastating storms hit the area, flooding out homes, businesses, and roadways. We heard the pleas for help, and so our work as the area's stormwater authority kicked into high gear. 3 months after that last torrential storm event, the MWRD initiated the excavation work, creating an additional 1.9 million gallons of stormwater storage at the reservoir. We also applied for funding from the state and received a grant from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency for this project for the amount of $10 million. We acquired 15 residential properties around the northern and eastern perimeters to enable horizontal expansion of the reservoir. The last property was acquired in May of 2017. We have a number of improvements planned. The reservoir will be expanded by 64 million gallons. The pumping station will be updated and a new emergency overflow weir to reduce the likelihood of overtopping will be installed. Ultimately, 430 residential properties will have reduced risk of flooding for storm events up to and including a 100-year rain event. The MWRD and local communities are also committed to making future stormwater investments in the watershed through intergovernmental agreements. We wouldn't be here today without the support of the Village of Burbank and Oak Lawn, and this is why it gives me great pleasure to welcome Burbank Mayor Dan Foy. Mayor Foy was elected last April and sworn into office in May. He may be the new mayor, but he is not new to Burbank. Having served as an alderman on the city council, he is proud to be a leading community of 29,000 into a new era of technology. Welcome, Mayor Foy.
As the mayor of City of Burbank, I would like to say this is a great day for Burbank and the southwest side, the groundbreaking of Melvina Ditch Reservoir. I would like to commend the board of the MWRD on the public process, collecting input from the neighbors and the elected officials, coming up with a great plan. This project doubles the existing reservoir capacity of 64 million gallons modifying the pumping station, and the most important thing to me is adding a new emergency overflow. I grew up a few blocks from here, and in my lifetime there has been 400-year rains. The rain is an act of God, but how we handle the water is up to us. This plan gives us the best shot to protect the area from flooding. Burbank would like, again, to say thank you to everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Foy. Our next speaker was elected mayor of Oakland in 2013 and views her public service to the community as an incredible privilege and honor, of which she is extremely appreciative. Mayor Sandra Burry is a practicing optometrist. She moved to Oakland from Chicago in 1979 with her family, and as a longtime director of the Oakland Chamber of Commerce, she has worked to improve the business community, and this project will help her do just that. It is with great pleasure that I welcome Oakland Mayor Sandra Burry.
Thank you, President Spiropoulos and commissioners and everyone who could be here today. This is indeed a very, very happy day for us, the elected officials, but especially for the residents of the area. I can't speak for the engineers. I can't speak for the technical details, but I can tell you when you speak with a resident whose home is underwater or taking on water and there's very little you could do and you hear it over and over and over, it means so much that we have a highly responsive group of people in our Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. They met with us immediately, and it was on their radar, and they were very responsive. It was a joy to watch kind of government actually working and to come up with a plan, and this is pretty quick by government standards. They treated this as a high priority, and the difference this is going to make to quality of life in our area is enormous. I just want to thank them. Thank you all for coming, and let's get this done now. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Burry. And now I welcome Stickney Township Supervisor Lou Viverito, who's been a long-term champion of improvements for this area. In fact, Lou and his wife moved to the area in 1957, long before Burbank was incorporated in 1970. Supervisor Viverito was on the township board when the very first experimental retention pond was built by the MWRD. He recalls working with the Water Reclamation District Board of Commissioners and President Nick Mellis to devise a plan to help reduce flooding beginning in the 1960s, when the Beatles were an up-and-coming band. We are thrilled that Supervisor Viverito, a former Water Reclamation District Commissioner himself, could be with us today. Welcome, Lou.
Thank you, Madam President Spiropoulos, and all the commissioners for being here today, for our Honorable Mayor Dan Foy, for all the elected officials, our wonderful attorney Vince Gankar, for your wonderful superintendent Dave St. Pierre. I mean, that sounds pretty sophisticated. And we're all able to go to Cajun Restaurant afterwards. I thought he would like that, but he told me he's not going to be able to make it, Marianne. But I can tell you this, if I may, I'm really excited about it because simply when this project started, the city of Burbank probably would have never been here without the cooperation of the Water Reclamation District. I guarantee you that I know of no agency that has the professionalism that the sanitary district enjoys today and many, many years ago. And you know, you touched the hearts and minds of Stickney many years ago when you brought the largest sewer plant in the world to Stickney Township. And believe me, you made that plant today look like a park. I commend you, commissioners, on what you have done in making the sanitary district what it is today. Clean water, clean streams, and believe me, this area, when we bought here, my wife and I, we put $500 down on a 4.5% loan. And they'd ask me, where is Stickney? And I say, well, Stickney is, we live at 85th and Mayfield. And they say, where is Stickney? I said, well, it's near 87th Street, and it's near Oak Lawn. And then I'd say, you know where Mud Lake is? Yeah, I know where you're at. You live in Mud Lake. That's what they used to call this place, Mud Lake. I used to bring the kids here to Melvina Ditch, And believe me, we did even, there was little fish were there. There were frogs there. And my wife, and then we used to slide down the hill over here because the Lions Club provided where the kids and we would all go sledding. And then Vince Kanecar and my brilliant attorney, I started with his father first to tell you. When Vince was in, and I didn't want you to tell everybody how old I am, Marianne, but I started with his father, who was the very first mayor of Burbank. That was in 1970. And I guarantee you, if it wasn't for the Water Reclamation District, there would not have been a city of Burbank. Because at the time, they tried to incorporate Burbank 3 times, and the people said, no, we don't want any more buildings. We don't want any more to add anything. But the Stickney Township Board passed a $12 million referendum, voted on, and we put the sewers, we put the streets, and we put the curbs. And then, without the Water Reclamation District, this reservoir was then called Melvina Ditch. That's how the beginning of Burbank took place. Right after the Water Reclamation District did this wonderful project, it decided to incorporate. And believe it or not, our very first mayor was the Honorable John Fitzgerald, who was a personal friend of mine for years. He was a biology teacher, a University of Chicago graduate, and he wanted to be the mayor. And I had just became the Democratic committeeman in 1970, beating Frank McNamara on St. Patrick's Day, which is very unusual. And I was cutting hair over there at 79th and Narragansett. And believe me, all those people that knew me, they all voted for me. And McNamara, to this day, God rest his soul, he's gone. But he still couldn't figure out how we won. But I'll tell you how we won. When we won, it was God's gift. We prayed a lot, and it just happened. When Fitzgerald became the mayor, now listen to this. There were 5 slates. There were 78 candidates running. 78. 14 aldermen, a treasurer, and a mayor. And guess what Fitzgerald did? He won every single seat from the top to the bottom. Because everybody knew him. He ran a champion wrestling team at Revis High School. So when you go back and think what the Water Reclamation District has been able to do for this community, and I'll tell you, I've never met so many professionals in my life. Biologists, scientists, engineers, professional tradesmen, iron workers, electrical workers, and they have pride in the Water Reclamation District. And where would we be without the clean? We've got the cleanest water almost in the United States of America right here because of what the Water Reclamation District does. Lake Michigan would not look like it looks today without their participation. And these I'm telling you, these commissioners deserve a lot of credit because they work hard in figuring out a lot of things that they take a lot of advice from their professionals. I know that because, I was there with you guys for 6 years. You know that, Marianne, didn't you? And, no one could figure out how I got along with Nick Malice so well. Well, Nick Malice was a lot older than me, but he went to Tilden Tech. I went to Tilden Tech. Then I went to the Senate, and I became assistant majority leader like after 3 years, and they couldn't figure out how did he ever become assistant majority leader so well. What they didn't realize, I went to Tilden Tech, Emil Jones went to Tilden Tech, and Nick Malice went to Tilden Tech. That's how I became the assistant majority leader of the Senate. So I just want to tell you, I'm excited because I'm excited for Burbank. I'm excited the cooperation we've had from Oak Lawn. And Bedford Park was also a part of this community as well. And a portion of Bedford Park is in Stickney Township. But I can only say, I hope someday, Madam President, I hope you're going to put a walk thing around over there where we can walk. We have no walking places left here. And I can say this to you, am I right, with our leadership, Vince Kanecar is a Democratic committeeman, and he got Lipinski more votes in the suburban area than anybody, Vince did. So he's due to get a tap, and we haven't gotten any money for this project from Congressman Lipinski, but we're going to get some in the future. All right. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I didn't want to speak so long, but I get excited because you don't realize how it was out here. And I remember my son, Dean, who was the treasurer, and I remember the guy who ran against us. He became the second mayor. Mayor Foy, you know that your mayor before you was, yes, and he ran against us. We beat him so bad he decided to join the club, and that's how he became the mayor. And thank you very much. And I'm just honored to, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, I have to say, Supervisor, your enthusiasm is contagious. Thank you. And that wraps up the speaking portion of our program. We're now going to head over to the shovels and officially break the ground on this long-awaited project. Thank you.